Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 2 of GD Theories. I ran a poll on the GD Wiki to see whether I should actually do another episode, and an overwhelming amount of you said yes. So, here we are. This is actually a theory I've been wanting to do for a while since the concept of GD Theories first came into my head. And now today, I will try to piece together the broken world of Zender game, the ESCHATON, and the player's quest to save everything it knows and loves. Let's get into it. First off, I'd like to make some things clear. Yes, I am aware that the ESCHATON is in fact the 6th level in the boss series hexology. Yes, that is a real word, you can look it up. But for today, we're not going to look at those. I have another episode in mind that goes more into depth into those other levels. The only really other level we're going to take a look at today will be Lore 1 by Zender Game, one of his more recent levels. And even that I'm only going to just look for just for a little bit. Okay, so if I call those rules out of the way, let's get started with the actual theory.
Okay, so if you're not aware, the ESCHATON is the final level in the boss series, which is arguably Zender Game's most popular series. A series that is mostly known for its 3rd through 6th levels. However, there are 2 other levels in the boss series that are unrated. They're called Rooftop Boss 1 and Rooftop Boss 2. But they're not really good. Their gameplay is not good at all. No offense to Zender, and they do not look very great. They're late 2.0, early 2.1 levels, I believe. But the 3rd through 6th levels, they all look stunning and gorgeous. With the ESCHATON arguably being the best looking one so far, with stunning visuals throughout. I mean, just look at the boss playing in the background. It's just so realistic. It has to be one of Zender's most popular levels. But that was that part that got me thinking. Did you see it? Let me slow it down. Right there, right where it says Dimensional Breakdown, Returning to Reality. This suggests that this level is not what it seems, but something more perhaps, or something deeper to it, which I find really interesting. Now, let's take a quick break from this and take a look at another level, another Zender game level, Lore 1. Lore 1 is mainly like a text-based level, kind of like a book, where you can tap to turn to screen. And it talks about this thing called the hero plan, the hero technology that you can use to transfer your literal consciousness into a digital environment. And what do you know? They call this technology Zender, which I find hilarious, and it has a little cat face next to it. And it references a bunch of things like City Neon 18 and stuff. You see that later, and even you could see right back there. You could see Boss 3 Electro's evil laughing face right there. But basically, what it suggests is the level itself takes place far into the future. So far that we've had the technology to transfer our brains into a digital environment. And even then, who knows how far beyond that time this level takes place. But it's suggesting that clearly this has been going on for some time, and that it was supposed to be this thing that's supposed to save all humans and stuff like that. So yeah, this is where stuff gets interesting, that's for sure.
So yeah, this is where the story gets really weird. But it connects into what I said earlier about that whole dimensional breakdown, saving the world type of thing. Here is my theory. The ESCHATON is this final level in this long saga about saving humanity, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's just take a look at the ESCHATON today, because the other levels all deserve a video of their own. To prove my theory thirst, let's take a look at the level's name, the ESCHATON. Funny enough, ESCHATON is a real word. Look it up. Its definition reads as the final event in the divine plan, or the end of the world. And this kind of adds to the whole save the world theory, as several times throughout the level we could maybe get a glimpse of what could be the quote-unquote real world. As suggested in Lore 1, the very beginning of this timeline takes place in the far distant future. So who knows how far in the future the ESCHATON takes place? It could be, heck, hundreds, thousands, millions of years into the future. We just don't know. We can kind of get a suggestion later in the level, before the main boss fight, where this, I guess it's like a cat-like figure. We can kind of assume it's Zender, but then again, Zender is the name of the technology that transfers your mind into this virtual world, so I don't know. He says, when the star went out. What star? Our star? I would say no, because look later in the level, right here, you can see a black hole in the background, suggesting that the level takes place around some other star, or should I say, the remains of some star. Why do I think this? Because our star is not capable of forming a black hole, it's too small, so it'd have to be this civilization would have to be living around some other big, huge star that must have gone off or something. This is also supported by the cat-like figure saying, at the end of the time, when the star went out. Meaning that the events of the level most likely take place near the death of our universe some billions of years in the future. Why do I think this timeline? Because in the shots in the level where you can see the background, you can see the city in the black hole, you don't see any stars around. Now you could attribute this for Zender not thinking that there would be anything back there, but since these levels were created with, I believe, lore in mind, I'm just gonna say that there's no stars, because there's no stars left, there's just black holes at this point in time. And this will also explain the highly advanced machines that are very intent on trying to kill us that we see in the level, and also the high-tech cities themselves, such as like City Neon 18 and stuff like that, and the other cities, even though we never see the other cities, we only see City Neon 18, which I find interesting. However, we still have the black hole to deal with. The Eschaton takes place in a digital world. Now why would it be so desolate, so in ruin? Why would they make it almost like the real world? Simple. The real world and the digital world at some point are starting to entwine or merging, revealing this like odd futuristic society where people think they live in a virtual world, but in reality, the virtual world and the real world are almost becoming one. However, our protagonist, us, we can assume the word protagonist, sure seem to know what's going on, however. Why do you think all of those machines are going out of their way to try to kill them? Heck, why will the supposed maker of the hero program himself be trying to kill him? It's kind of quite simple. What I think is in this little sadistic semi-virtual world, Hero has managed to gain 100% control of humanity, or, well, whatever species is being talked about in the levels or just in geometry. That's a whole other rabbit hole thing. And our hero somehow, I don't know how, managed to figure out, kind of like in the Matrix, that this was a simulation, and he set about to try to end it. That's right, the ESCHATON is the final battle, the culmination of this series, epic clash between good and evil to try to save the world. Why do you think there are so many bosses in the level? In the scene with that cat where he's going into the portal to reveal the one of the bosses, you can see Boss 3 Electro, and I believe Boss 4 Laser Eye right next to him, kind of like embedded in the wall, as if they're like you're in some type of headquarters or something like that, which I find is really interesting. Also, why are they so much harder? You can see the actual Boss 3 Electro fighting you in City Neon 18 later in the level, but it's like a much more beefier version of himself. It's no longer his first stage virus version green, it's this dark, black, gritty, black and white, swiping at you with these vicious attacks. He's a lot harder than the original one. So I mean, it's clear that Hero wants to stop you at any cost. However, in the end, you do emerge victorious, taking down Zender, or whoever the person in control is, and his evil robots, and finally breaking the barrier between the virtual world and reality. Once the border is breached, that explains the dimensional breakdown part, then the real world finally comes to light. It's kind of like The Giver, I would think, where once this border is crossed, like, everything breaks down, revealing the real truth of the world. I'm pretty sure that most, people would not be surprised will not be as surprised that what the real world looks like, because I remember several times throughout the level you can supposedly see what the real world looks like. So perhaps what they did was they went from building these virtual cities to building real cities, thinking that they were building virtual cities. Kind of, I think that's how like Cyberpunk 2077 works. I believe, kind of like that type of scenario where like the real and virtual worlds kind of are one at some point. And all the cities built, they actually built themselves in a real world, so maybe once they come to their senses, it's not as alien as they thought, because they've lived in those worlds, it's just they're now mortal and stuff like that. It's just a theory, though. So there you have it, people. The ESCHATON is a culmination of an epic quest to free all of society from the grasp of some hyper-intelligent, overarching dictator. And that's just the beginning. This series has so much lore and stuff like in it that I can't cover it all in one video. So this is part 1 of a potentially 2 or 3 part series explaining this broken world that Zender game has created. But this video is already long enough, so I'm just going to say right here, thank you everyone so much for watching. If you have any other suggestions for videos and stuff like that, leave them in the comments, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.